Okay, folks are coming in. Where are you all joining from? What city or county are you joining from? Anybody? Hit put it in the chat. West Virginia. Yeah, hopefully everyone's from West Virginia.
Oh, we've got
Yeah, Greenbrier County. Lovely. Nicholas. Nice. Hampshire County. Wood. Lovely. Let a few more people in the room, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hancock County, some of these faraway counties. How many inches of snow did you get? I think we got about 8 here in Kanawha. How many inches of snow did you get? Oh my goodness. Is that 14 inches? Whoa. Grafton. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of snow. 3 inches. Okay. Now, wow. Yeah, we've been slammed pretty badly here. Hopefully this after next week will be good for the rest of the season. Well, let us go ahead and get rolling. I am Michelle Foster, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president and CEO of the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation. And we are just excited to have you join us as we are in the midst of another scholarship application period. Um, as you may know, our foundation offers lots of scholarships. We've been having some record-breaking years. Last year, we offered $1.6 million in scholarships to over 520 something students from all over the state. So we are here today to provide some oversight, an overview of the scholarship program, which is just one part of the foundation. As you may know, we also offer grants, and we operate because generous people from all over the state and really all around the country and even abroad have generously given back to our state through the foundation. So if it were not for our generous donors, we would have no scholarship program. So I want to make sure that I shout them out. We have with us this evening other members of the foundation team, our communications director, Jane Powell, our program associate, Emily McCormick, Stephanie Heyer, our chief program officer, Megan Simpson, our program director, and Katie Farrell. She is your scholarship program officer, and you'll probably have the most contact with her during this period. So I'm going to pass it over to Katie. She's got lots of great information for you. Katie?
thank you, Dr. Foster. As Dr. Foster said, my name is Katie Farrell. I'm the Scholarship Program Officer here at the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation. I do chat with you all quite a bit. You will see me in your inboxes quite a bit. And a little fun fact is I was actually a scholarship recipient here at the foundation myself. So this is a very full circle position for me. So we're going to jump straight into it. We have a lot to cover tonight, but I think we have made it into digestible bits for you all. So it'll really, you'll leave here feeling like you are just ready to fill out the application. So first, we're going to go over who is TGKVF? And yes, the more you say that, the faster you can. Who is eligible for our scholarship program? Good news, there's a lot of people eligible. Third, the timeline. One of the most common questions I get is, what does this even look like? We are talking about 2005, 2026, and it just turned 2025, so we'll go over that a little bit. The application process, step by step, what you need to go ahead and gather, what you need to do to fill out the application, and then Emily is going to actually walk you through an application for our friend Mort or Board, who you saw on the screen previous and you will see sprinkled throughout the presentation today. And then finally, we'll go over some other financial aid resources and open up for some final questions. So who is the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation? Dr. Foster gave you a great intro to who we are. There's a picture of a few of us from our freshman scholarship celebration at Gomart Ballpark this past summer. We had a good picnic, enjoyed a baseball game, and that's a few of us on staff there. So as Dr. Foster said, we awarded over $1.6 million in scholarships to over 250 students statewide last year. And
500, 520.
yeah, 520. Did I say?
You got
Five.
250. Oh,
Thank you. I got those numbers juxtaposed. Major difference there. 520 students last year in 53 of 55 counties. So if anyone here is from Ritchie or Pendleton, I am counting on you to get a scholarship application in this year. So we are the largest community foundation in Central Appalachia, serving again both that grants and scholarship program. And our awards range from $1,000 to $12,000. And every time someone hears that, they ask me, what scholarship is that and how can they get it? And if you are in conservation of natural resources, that is the niche. It's broader than that, but that's the niche. Major for that scholarship is the Leopold and Elizabeth K. Marmette Fund. So who is eligible? Good news, probably most of you. If you are a West Virginia resident, which everyone I saw in that chat was from West Virginia. So any West Virginia resident who is studying any major, who's going to any school, and that is in-state or out of state. A lot of times people think you can only be attending a university in West Virginia, and that is not true. You can be attending in-state or out of state. Another common misconception is our program is only for graduating seniors, but you can be a graduating senior and beyond. I always like to say, no matter what age or stage you are able to apply for one of our scholarships. Also, you could be a current college student, you could be a returning college student, and that term could be a 4-year, 2-year, undergraduate, graduate, career, and tech. If you are going to school, you can apply for an application, or you can submit an application. The timeline. I know everyone, they see that third award, and that is the most exciting part for you all in the timeline, but you have to get your applications in now to be able to have the opportunity to receive an award. So our application has been open since November the 15th and will close on February 12th, no exceptions. From there, you all pass the baton to us, which we pass to our independent volunteer reviewers, and we'll go over what they look at for those applications in that portion of the presentation. And then finally, again, the most exciting part for you all and for us is the award season. So we notify in May and send those checks out in July. So again, the application's been open since November 15th and is due February the 12th, no later. So here's what you can expect. A universal application. That is fancy term for you fill out an application and we are going to ask you so much information. We are going to ask you things like your major, what's your GPA, what things have you been involved in, and every answer you give us is going to help match you to as many scholarship opportunities that you match the eligibility and criteria for. So those answers are really important. It's important you provide accurate information because they will automatically qualify you for those scholarships. The time to complete the application varies, and that's because you may match with more scholarships that require maybe an individual essay. Maybe you haven't started that FAFSA yet, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it's going to take some time for you to get your FSA ID created. So that is going to vary depending on your situation. There's those individual essays that I talked about. So depending on what opportunities you qualify for, you may be required to submit an individual essay for that opportunity. Our donor, when they created that fund, has designated it's important to them to have an essay, and what they have designated as that essay. So you may need to take some time to fill that out. Here's one of my favorite parts of this brand new application this year. I am an early bird, which means I go to bed early. So if you are filling out the application at 11 p.m. at night, which most of our students are night owls, there are resources and links built into the application. You will probably be able to answer your question. One of Emily's superpowers is gathering wonderful resources, quality resources, and you can, so if it's 11:15, you're filling out the application and you don't know if your major is a STEM major, good news is Emily has a link for you. So you can click that and figure out if your major is a STEM major. And we've done that for your convenience so that you don't have to wait and you can keep on going through your application. And then finally, you'll need to have acceptable FAFSA documentation, which we will talk about in a few minutes what we are accepting this year. So our friends at the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission, they have partnered with us the last few years and done a presentation with us for the information session. And so I reached out to them and asked them for a few slides of the most important information that I could share with you all. And this was one of the ones that they sent. It is all about the FAFSA. So if you are brand new to financial aid, this is the free application for federal student aid. It's the first and most important application for financial aid. And if FAFSA gets back to its normal schedule, it's usually available on October 1st each year. And we use the FAFSA. It's used for federal grants, federal student loans, work study programs, the West Virginia Higher Education Grant. All of these different programs use data from the FAFSA. A very important thing that changed last year is it could take 3 to 5 days for you to receive your FSA ID. So you need to get logged on already if you haven't and start that process because it will take some time to get your ID so that you can then fill out the FAFSA and then get your results. While we do know quite a bit about FAFSA because we work in it every day, we are not the FAFSA experts, but if you need help, our friends at the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission would be so happy to help you. College for West Virginia resources are right here. If you want to take a picture of the screen, we'll also have some links for you later in the presentation, but they have a live chat. They have a person you can talk to ask you really specific FAFSA questions, and they are a wealth of FAFSA knowledge and a great, great resource. So particular to TGKVF here are some samples of some FAFSA information that we will accept on your application. The golden child of sorts is the complete FAFSA submission summary over to the left with a large red arrow. That means you have filled out your FAFSA, you've gotten an estimate, and you've gotten your actual FAFSA results. We love to see these in your application because they are signed, sealed, delivered. They are your FAFSA number. So that is our first and primary request for the FAFSA. We know the FAFSA has been a challenge since last year, so we have expanded our options quite a bit for you all. And you'll see the next one in that middle and over to the right. The congratulations, your FAFSA form is complete, and here's what's next. Those are your estimated SAI. So that's your estimated FAFSA number. We will accept that. That will typically pop up maybe in a window when you've submitted your FAFSA. You might get it in an email after you've submitted your FAFSA, but we will take that number or the screenshot, the PDF of that number. And then finally, we expanded a little bit farther to meet you all where you need to be, and that is the estimated SAI that comes from an estimator tool on the FAFSA website. Now, the thing about option 2 and 3 is those are not those signed, sealed, delivered numbers. And so at any point in the process, we could ask you for that complete FAFSA submission summary, just if we need to look and check the numbers on your other parts of your application, verify a few things. So if you submit anything outside of that, we can and will maybe ask you for the exact FAFSA submission summary and not just an estimate. So now we're on to the review portion. February 12th has passed. You have submitted your application. Congratulations. And now it will be sent off to our volunteer independent reviewers. We have over 100 of them who review all of your applications. They are incredible. And there's 3 primary things that they are going to look at and score in your application. First is that financial need component. I have students call and they say, hey, I'm not sure that I have financial need. go ahead and fill out the application. That's only 1/3 of what we are looking at. So we're going to use things like your FAFSA number. We're going to use things like your income, the amount that you will have in savings, number in household, number in college, and that does include the adults of the household. So if an adult is going to college, that is also included in that number. We want to know different financial challenges that you might be having, extenuating circumstances. Each student is given the opportunity to let us know if there's something that we don't see on the piece of paper. So maybe it's a drastic change in income for whatever reason. Maybe it is medical debt that may not report on anything. We want to know those things as well as other forms of aid that you are going to have. So maybe other private scholarships. Are you going to be a Promise Scholarship recipient, West Virginia Higher Education Grant, Pell Grant, things like that? The next portion of the application is often what people think is the only thing we look at on an application, and that is the academics. And again, it's only 1/3 of the rubric that we use. And we do look at it, things like your GPA, AP scores, honors classes. You'll be asked to provide all of that information. Then we have, this is my favorite part of the application. It's the extras. This is where we really get, as you can see in that last point, what makes you you. So I want to know, have you participated in any sports? Have you participated in a club? Have you volunteered somewhere? What did that look like? We also understand here at the foundation that not every student has the opportunity to volunteer and instead has to pursue a job. So what kind of job? We've had students as seniors in high school be managers and key holders and hold these really great positions in the workforce. So tell us about that. We want to see your character, what makes you you, and then the top 10. So if you are familiar with applications passed from TGKVF, you will know we used to have an essay. And so we have replaced the essay this year with a top 10. And we borrowed this idea from our friends in the Eastern Panhandle, and they've used it for a few years and really said it gives them an opportunity and a chance to get to know the student in a way that the application otherwise wouldn't allow. So still gives you a chance to show off those writing skills, and it gives us an opportunity to know 10 things about you that we may not know otherwise from the application. So here's some things that you are going to have to start to gather to fill out the application. So that's things like, again, start that list of your AP and your honors, your dual credit classes. Start that list of other aid and scholarships. Create that FAFSA. Go ahead and start the process of your FSA ID if you haven't already. It might take some time to get your unofficial transcripts depending on your school, or to calculate your GPA. So go ahead and start working on that. Here's some things that are you've got to gather as well. Your family's adjusted income or untaxed benefits. Start to draft those 10 things about you or some individual essays. You want to draft those. Give yourself some time to work them. And we do have a QR code coming later in the presentation, as well as we will drop the link in the chat later of a checklist that we have worked to create for you. So you can go ahead and get all that information together before you even sit down for the application. Now, drum roll is the award part of the season. So in May, I send award and declination letters via email. So it's very important. We're going to stress this again later, but it's very important that you use an email that's accessible and that you check. The last thing you want is for me to send you an award letter to an email for $3,000 and you don't see it and you miss the deadline and you miss a scholarship. I know you do not want that. So make sure you use a valid email that you check. Once we send that award letter, you'll have the opportunity to update any information as like your institution or student ID numbers, and I need those for July. And that is when I mail those checks directly to a school. That's a question we get often is, does the check come to me or does the check go to the institution? And the check does get mailed directly to the institution. And then at that point, I always joke and say it's up to the USPS and the university or FedEx and the university of your choice on how quickly you'll see that start to populate on your student ID screen or your financial aid screen. It's not an automatic, once you accept the award letter, it does not automatically get deposited. There is a process in between there. And here is the application process step by step. So we're going to start by gathering those materials, filling out the FAFSA. You might need to request a copy of your transcripts, draft that top 10. We have a QR code here to the website. If you scan that on your screen, it'll take you straight to the TGKVF website where you can see the big red button that says start new application here. And then you're going to take time to complete that application. One great feature of this software is you can save your application and come back to it. So remember your login information. You can come back to the application and finish at a later time. But it is due February 12th. We do not accept late applications for any reason. And I really highly recommend at least a week before that to try and submit, because you may be matched with opportunities that require some of those essays. And the last thing you want is at the last minute to be filling out essays. You're going to check your email. Check your email. You're going to use that email that is easily accessible, the one that you use all the time. That is our primary form of contact. And again, as I said, where we send that award status notification, and we do send award and declination notices so that you know. Finally, you can contact us. We are available via email. You can call the office. You can connect with your counselor, who then will get a hold of me. They may have some information that I've sent them. So ask your resources. There are people around you who believe in you and want to see you succeed, and make sure you use those resources to get this application submitted. And then a common thing people don't realize is you can keep applying. Just because you weren't awarded this year does not mean that you weren't an incredible applicant. There's a variety of reasons that a student may not be awarded in a particular year. Keep applying. As long as you are going back to school the next year, keep applying. As I mentioned, here's a couple more. We love a QR code at TGKVF. So here's a scanning or a QR code that you can scan for the application that will take you directly there, and as well as to that checklist. And you can also find some of that information being dropped in the chat as well, so that if you don't have the time to get those scanned, or you miss, or technology does what technology does, we have included those links for you as well. And we'll go ahead and get ready to open into a couple of questions while Emily gets her Mort's application up and running. So if you have any questions, you can drop those in the chat, and I will answer a few while Emily gets her screen up and ready. And thank you, Megan, for dropping those links in the chat.
No questions? Really? Not a single one? Okay.
All right, Miss Emily, it is you.
All right, so if you click on that link that Megan dropped in the chat there, it takes you to our scholarships page. That's tgkvf.org. So if we scroll down, you're going to see this How to Apply page right here. You're going to want to click there. And once we get there, you can scroll all the way to the bottom. Here's that wonderful information session that we're doing for you now. And there's the infamous red button. So you'll want to click that button. Now, once you click the button, it will take you to our scholarship software. You can bookmark this page if you plan to do this over a couple of sessions, which I recommend. So go ahead and bookmark that. You'll see that it's asking for an email and a password. And really quickly before I forget, I don't think we've touched on this. If you had or received a scholarship last year and are trying to renew that scholarship, please don't follow any of these instructions. You'll need to reach out to Katie to get instructions on how to renew. So that's my quick disclaimer there. The first time that you are logging into the system, there's this button here that says Create New Account. So you're going to go here, And it'll ask you some information. We're going to need your name. We're going to need your email, phone number so that we can get a hold of you if we need you. And it'll ask you for some other information. I've already set up an account, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to that first screen. Now, when you do set up your account, you'll receive an email. It'll look like this. It says, "Dear Emily, this is a system email letting you know that you've successfully registered for your account." So make sure you're receiving that. Again, like Katie said, we want to make sure that you're using an account that you have access to for that reason. You're going to need to verify that account. So make sure you choose a personal email. Don't use a school email that you might lose access to if you transfer. And please don't use a parent's email. If you get that DocuSign, that document that we'll need later, if you are awarded, and you're trying to text mom or dad to get access to that, we don't want any of that. So make sure you use a personal email that you're checking frequently. All right, so let me get Mort logged in here. Bear with me just a moment while I'm doing that. Still any, no questions in the chat?
Yeah, a couple of questions have been asked and answered, so you're good.
Wonderful. And if you create an account and forget your password, you can click this little forgot password too. It'll send you a lovely link to reset that for you. Oops. My apologies, folks. All right. Now, once you get logged in, your dashboard will display it. I've already started an application, so that way you didn't have to watch me fill out all those questions. But this screen will be blank when you first log in. You'll want to click the Apply button right here at the top. And you'll see this, TGKVF Universal Scholarship Application. That's the one that you want. You'll click that Apply button to get started. Now, I've already got an application ready to go, so I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I'm going to click Edit Application so that way I can see my answers. You'll also notice that the due date, I apologize, I should have pointed that out. The due date displayed right there, letting you know that that's due the 15th, excuse me, the 12th. And it's available here as well. So you got that reminder. And then just some quick housekeeping things. You'll see that any questions here marked with an asterisk or that star are required. Our system will not let you submit if you skip a question that's required. So make sure you're taking your time and going through. You want to read all these instructions carefully. And any links will be in blue underlined text. You want to pay special attention to those. My information and Katie's information is right here. If you run into any problems, please feel free to send us an email or give the office a call. We're here to help you. We really want to see you succeed. We love giving out scholarships, so be sure to reach out if you need help. Okay, a few more housekeeping items. So these questions are all going to automatically save as you change your answer. So you don't have to hit that save button anymore, which is great. It'll save every time you click out of a question or every 100 characters you type. Now pay close attention too, because sometimes as you answer a question, another question will appear. Our software is really smart. It kind of knows when to ask these follow-up questions. Make sure you're reading those instructions really carefully and answering the way that we're asking you to. That's very important because all of these questions that we're asking determine what scholarships you're eligible for. So, and I want to point out here, I'm going to scroll and hope I don't give anybody vertigo, but I'm going to drop down to the field of study and major questions. We get a lot of questions about this. Boy, that didn't work as I hoped. Okay. Here's what I'm talking about with those instructions. Make sure you're reading everything really carefully. See, we're asking if you're going to nursing school, select nursing and not medicine. This routes you to the best scholarship matches. So you really want to be sure that you're reading those options very carefully and following those instructions. And then I want to take a second too to call out, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you don't know what you're going to be majoring in, please try to wait to fill out your application until you're a little more sure. We want you to make we want you to have enough time to fill out the application, but I do want to point out that if you select undecided here, and maybe you're thinking about going into engineering, but you're not quite sure. If you select undecided, it's not gonna, our system won't match you with those engineering scholarships. Now, the flip side to that is that if you think you might go into engineering, but you're not sure, and you select engineering, then you'll be considered for those engineering scholarships. If you're awarded one of those and you change to, say, production of energy, you might not be eligible for those anymore. So try to pick the best option that makes the most sense for you. Did I miss anything on that, Katie? Anything to chime in there?
No, that was great. We like to stress again, give yourself plenty of time. You can pause, you can always save and come back to it, but give yourself plenty of time to, again, get that submission if in case you have any extra essays to fill out. But yeah, Emily is right. Make the decision that is best for you.
Mhm. All right, thanks, Katie. Excuse me. And I do want to highlight, Katie mentioned that we've got lots of resources in here. So you'll see that those links in blue will take you to whatever resources you need. So here it's the ACT. I can click this link and view my ACT scores. And that's really handy as you're filling these out, potentially late at night, right? So another resource that I want to highlight is in the financial section. So we get a lot of questions about the financial section of our application. So we made some instructions for you all. It's this link right here, this frequently asked questions. I'm going to recommend that you have this either read, either read it before you start the financial section or have it up as you go through the questions. We get a lot of questions about these. And again, if you're filling this out kind of later at night, Katie and I aren't available to answer those. You might find your answers in there. So start there first. All right. Anything else I've missed? Oh, there are instructions as well on how to download that FAFSA document that Katie was talking about. It can be tricky to get that summary, so make sure you're reading the instructions and following those guides.
Hey, Emily.
Yeah.
Tim asked a question in the chat that relates back to selecting an intended major.
Mhm.
If you're entering a program that isn't listed, like actuarial science, should they pick mathematics and or statistics?
Ooh, that is a great question. Katie, do you want me to take a stab, or do you have anything to chime in there?
I think we will probably be along the same lines together. So yes, do we have, oh, there it is. Okay, I was going to say, do we have the list pulled up?
Yeah, so if you're taking something really specialized like that, we've got two options for you here. So we've got field of study, which is going to make you eligible for some programs. So it sounds like that might be a best match with science or technology. I might tick one of those boxes. And then when you get down to this degree or major, I'm fairly certain that that's not going to be in the list. So you do have the option to select other. If you select other, you'll get a lovely little box asking you to tell us what you're studying. So,
And I might add too, and Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of these that are listed are because we have certain opportunities that are particular to that. That doesn't mean that you won't, but we need to know if you're studying music because we have a music scholarship. So it's not that it's going to eliminate you from a lot of the opportunities. It's just you're not going to match with that music scholarship.
that's exactly right. Yeah. So make sure, just pick what makes the most sense for you. And if you have questions about, what you should check in those boxes, you can also get a hold of us. We're happy to guide you through that. Any other questions in the chat before? I'm sorry if I'm giving folks vertigo. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to submit this application. Any other questions?
There are some more for us. Are things like ACT scores needed for students already enrolled in college?
No, they are not. So when you get to that test scores question, there is a box that you can check that says, I haven't taken the ACT or SAT. It'll give you a description box and you can tell us, hey, I'm already enrolled in college. I didn't take that exam.
And then my school is rolling over in the second semester in a week and a half. Should I wait until then to submit with updated GPA and rank? If you are one, I know some of the universities had a delayed response in their fall grades. If you want to wait until those fall grades, this is kind of the same thing as a major is it's the best decision for you. Do you want to go ahead and get that submitted now? Do you want to pause for a moment and get those scores and then submit them? Just again, give yourself, if you do choose to wait, if that is what's best for you and the most benefit to you, do give yourself plenty of time to complete the application.
Definitely. And I do want to chime in. Oh, sorry, Katie. I do want to chime in and say we don't require official transcripts. So if you have those unofficial transcripts, you are good to go. You can upload a copy of that.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out as well. And then Tim has asked, what about double majors, which is a great question.
Yeah, so we don't currently have the ability to track both majors. I would say to answer that question or those questions about your primary major.
I agree with that. And then this one is a very common question we get, which is, do you offer merit-based scholarships or only need-based? So great question. Great question. So we have some that the focus might be on financial need or academics, but the good news is no matter what application, they are reviewed on those three areas. So financial need, academics, as well as your extracurriculars, and that top 10. So you fill out an application and you'll get matched and scored appropriately for either of those types of scholarships. So great question.
That is a great question. And I'll just add to that even if you think that you don't qualify for financial need, make sure you're filling that information out correctly because we do take a lot into account when scoring financial need. So you might be surprised. That's the benefit of not being the federal government is that we do have some leeway in making those decisions.
And we also, again, remember, look at those things like the number of students who are in college, or I'm sorry, the number of family members in college, the number of people in the family. There's a lot of different factors and varieties of information that we use to gauge that financial need.
Was that all the questions in the chat for now?
There's one that asks, is the multimedia communications options in the major list? And I don't recall that because I don't think we have a specific fund for a multimedia communications.
I think so, but there should be under that field of study when you're filling out the application, there should be a communications section there. So definitely go there and then you'll select other for your major and you'll be able to input that specifically. Mm-hmm.
And just to reiterate, not all scholarships, specify a major. So now because your major is not listed means you wouldn't be eligible for a scholarship. So keep that in mind.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Foster. That is exactly right. We have multiple, we call them open scholarships. That is the type of scholarship I received when I was a student here, and that it was the WP Black Scholarship, and that is open to any major at any university with any with financial needs. So there are lots of, and again, remember that financial need is not just narrowly decided, it is a broad spectrum. So great addition, Dr. Foster.
Yeah, I think we've got, I would venture to guess probably close to 20 of those. So again, make sure you're answering those questions and definitely put in that application. You might be surprised. Okay. So now
someone's asking, can you qualify if you already have one degree? Yes, there's some master's scholarships, right? Yeah, for master's students.
Yep. All ages and stages.
And then finally, and then Emily, we'll let you get that submission. We have some more time for questions in the latter portion. So if you are undecided and you are planning on taking general classes the first year of college because you're undecided, how would you fill out your degree specific questions? I would choose, Emily, tell me if you would choose differently, but I would go ahead and do undecided for this year.
Yeah, you can select undecided in both of those boxes. So if you're not sure, you're just trying to get your first year under your belt, select undecided for both of those and it'll match you with those, what Katie called those open eligibility scholarships. Yep. Okay. And Awesome. And we'll get some more questions answered. I know folks probably have many, many more, but just so we can get moving here. Like I said, if you don't answer a question, you see I haven't filled this bubble in, our application will not let you submit. So if I try to submit and this I understand button isn't checked, it's not going to let me go through. So now that I have clicked that and submitted, this screen might take a few moments. It's really important to let this screen load. Don't close the window, don't refresh it, don't go anywhere. Hang tight. What it's doing is taking all of those answers that you input and it's sorting you through all 115 plus scholarships. Okay, so definitely let this screen have some time. After you'll know that you've successfully submitted when it'll take you to a separate screen. You'll also get a confirmation email once you have successfully submitted. So if you're not sure, check your email for that confirmation, or you can contact Katie or I and we can help you through if you run into any snags. So you can see that based on all of my answers, these are all of the scholarships that I have qualified for. And you can see there are quite a few in that list. Okay. Now, some of these require additional materials. So in order to move on, and I think this is probably the trickiest part, I'm going to go ahead and click continue. See at the bottom, it's asking me, it says you have 3 opportunities that are going to ask you for more information. So I'm going to click continue so I can look at those. So here it says I've got an essay that I've got to write to be eligible for one of these. And it looks like I'm also going to need a letter of recommendation. So here's a few notes about those letters of recommendations. Be sure that you start early, right? You don't want to be filling this out 3 days before the deadline and saying, oh, I need a recommendation. Make sure you give your recommenders plenty of time to complete those. You'll see that I've got 2 options there. Either I've already got a letter or I'd like to email someone. You can have that. Our system will automatically ask them to review on your behalf. So make sure you read those instructions. It would let me send an email to my selected reviewer. And it's also got some instructions if you already have a letter. We participate in a blind review process, which means reviewers aren't going to be able to see your name. So make sure you're following the instructions to remove any identifying information about yourself on those letters. And your reviewer, if you opt to have someone complete that through our system on your behalf, they'll have some instructions letting them know of that too. But you can see that you definitely want to allow yourself plenty of time to complete these extra pieces. Now, be sure, this is where it gets tricky. For each of these opportunities that need more information, you have to submit again. If you do not click the submit button, your name is not going to be put in the pool for that specific opportunity. Okay. And then the same rules apply as the application. So you can see that I might come in here and type a few things. And then if I need to step away, maybe and take my barking dogs out that I hope you can't hear, you can click this Save Application button. It will save your progress and your work, and it'll take you back to that dashboard where we first started. So you definitely don't have to complete all of those in one go. Another note about those recommendations, here I'm looking at my dashboard and all the wonderful things I've completed. Anything that requires a review or a recommendation, excuse me, we'll have this at the top. You can see I don't need any for that one, but I have one in here somewhere that I'll need a recommendation for, and I probably haven't completed it yet. But if you need a recommendation, it will tell you that you have 0 out of 1 recommenders submitted. So this way you can keep track of who has submitted your recommendations and if you need to reach back out to them. If you have any trouble with that, we know that is probably going to be a little tricky this first year. Be sure that you're reaching out to Katie or myself if you need some help. And again, those I can go back into my homepage and get back to, see it says edit application here. So I still have an essay that needs to be done for this opportunity. So if I click back here, it's going to take me to that essay that I need to write. I think Katie, that covers just about everything. Oh, before I forget, if I do submit this essay, if I click that little submit button here, um, it's going to do the same process like it did before. So you'll get another confirmation email and it'll pop up and say you have completed this, right? So I can see now that my essay has been complete and submitted. Okay, now, Katie, I think that's everything, unless you have anything to add.
No, I think Mortarboard is one of our, standout scholars right there. He is a intelligent kind of cap. If you all didn't know, a Mortarboard is your graduation cap. So that was the inspiration behind Mort, our guest applicant here today. And before we move forward, I see lots of questions about majors in the chat. I want to rest your all's worried souls and let you know again, like Dr. Foster said, we have lots of opportunities that are open no matter what your major is. So if you are unsure or you don't see yours listed, you can always select that. So no worries on that. And then we will move forward with, we'll get back to some questions in a bit, but can you all see our other opportunities here? Awesome. My little green halo didn't come around the screen. So we are not the only place where you can seek funding or private funding for your higher education. So again, our friends over at West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission sent some information from College for West Virginia, their program for other West Virginia financial aid programs, over to us. So you can see a link for their website there. You can also see some of their deadlines that you want to keep in mind that are coming up quickly. And then over to the right, Emily and I participate in a group of other scholarship managers from across the state for lots of community foundations there. As you can see listed in purple, those are the counties that those foundations serve. So if you reside in any of these counties, definitely make sure to give them a Google, check their website, reach out to them. And then I want to give particular focus or highlight to our friends at the Boone County Community Foundation, Miss Connie. The Boone County Community Foundation is one of our affiliates here at TGKVF, and they are a great resource for our scholarship applicants. Their application is also open right now with a deadline of March the 15th. So you've got a little bit of extra time to get their application submitted. You can submit in multiple ways. You can do an email attachment. You can hand deliver them to the office or make sure they are postmarked by March the 15th. They have 13 funds and award as many as 19 scholarships, expecting to this year, which is exciting. They can apply to all the opportunities if they are eligible, but just as with TGKVF, you can only receive one. Megan has also dropped the link to the Boone County Community Foundation website in our chat. Thank you, Megan. And here is the best news, is you are able to receive one scholarship from BCCF, and you're able to receive one scholarship from TGKVF, and you can stack them on top of one another. So you can get double the funding, which is exciting. And then finally, as we go through and answer some more questions, I'm going to leave our contact information up here. It's in the chat. I believe Megan's going to drop that also in the chat for us again for our contact information. You can see mine and Emily's email addresses. You can call the office, and then a final QR code with Mort there of where you can scan and find the application on our website. So if you all have more questions, we are happy to answer those while we are here. Save you a call to the office or an email to us. But again, I just want to stress, if you are worried that your major isn't on the list, go ahead and fill out the application, select other, and then put that in the box. I want to stress, if you are going out of state, we have scholarships that are available out of state. If you are attending a private institution, that's okay. We have scholarships for that too. I'm trying to think of now all the niche ones. If you've played soccer in Putnam or Kanawha County, we have a scholarship. So go ahead and fill out that application. It's free. It's an opportunity for funding. So it does not hurt at all to go ahead and get one submitted. So Logan has a question. How many unique applicants are there every year, and is it possible to win more than one? So the number varies from year to year on the total amount of applicants that we have submit. And the answer for is it possible to receive more than one? Yes and no. So yes, you can only receive one scholarship from us, but from TGKVF. Remember, you can stack it with some of those other community foundations like Boone County and our friends over in the Eastern Panhandle. But for TGKVF, with our application, you can only receive one with an exception, and that is the TGKVF Scholars Fund. If you see you match with that, go ahead and make sure you fill out that information. So that is the one fund that we have that you can stack on top of another. So you can receive two in that instance, but it's only that unique opportunity. And Dr. Foster got that one. Thank you, Dr. Foster. And thank you, Connie. Connie has also put her email in the chat. She joined us this afternoon from the Boone County Community Foundation. So if you are a resident of Boone County, please make sure to reach out to Connie. Please make sure to fill out her application as well. And do we have, Emily, can you think of any other things? Oh, sorry, I was like, oh, that's okay. Just to clarify, the FAFSA for this year needs to be the 25-26 one and processed before the application is submitted. Correct. Yes. So it needs to be this year's FAFSA and then processed before the application is submitted. We did go over a few of the FAFSA documentation types that we will take. As I called it, the golden child would be your complete FAFSA submission summary, but we do understand that can take some time to receive. So you can also submit your estimated SAI, which comes from either an email when you fill out the FAFSA. Sometimes it will pop up on the screen for you. And then the final form of FAFSA that we will accept is from that estimator tool on the FSA website. And but at any point we could ask you for verifying information.
Just to add to that, Katie, when you're going through and filling out that application, remember to click those links for the resources because everything that Katie just described there is available as a resource document. So make sure you're clicking those and using those resources. There's lots of great directions in there, and I would say probably several questions could be answered if you have them.
And there's even screenshots. Emily has included screenshots. They are very detailed and wonderful. I would love them if I were a student.
Okay, any final questions before we wrap up? Seems like a couple more popped in.
So it looks like we have a question regarding GPA. So I love that you saw the PDF of the list of all of our scholarships. That's awesome. And some of them do have those GPA requirements for eligibility and a few when you renew. So if you have a renewable scholarship, not all of our scholarships are renewable, the majority are. So if you have a renewable scholarship that does have a GPA requirement for that renewal, you will submit a renewal form and we will double check that your GPA continues to meet the requirement for you to have that scholarship. But after watching this, I realized so I think if I'm understanding correctly, which I think that we are on the same path here. There are scholarships beyond GPA. So we don't just look at the GPA when it comes to reviewing the application. Again, we're going to look at your financial aid. We're going to look at the grades, the academics. But then we also have that portion of the application where you really get to shine and tell us about yourself, maybe tell us about your goals and dreams as a student and how this aid would really help you in achieving that. So I hope that answers your question. If you have a follow-up on that, let me know. So can scholarship awards be used for housing or only tuition? So these scholarships can be used for cost of attendance, and we put what they are eligible for in the award letter that we send to each institution. With declinations, are the reasons provided so that we know how to apply or improve our responses for the next year? That's a great question. So with our previous software, we did not have the opportunity to do that, and I'm not sure that we'll be able to do that this year as well, but we have had students reach out in the past and ask us, while we are not the reviewers, there are a variety of reasons why a student may not receive an award this year. Like I said, you could be an absolutely standout, incredible student, and it could have been maybe a fund only had a certain amount of dollars. But if you email us, we may be able to do that, but it's not something we've done in the past. And thank you, Emily. Yes, Emily, for dropping the list of available scholarships. Did Isaiah have a question and I missed it? Oh, thank you. No, that was for thank you. You all have been a great audience with lots of good questions.
Great questions. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to receiving your applications. And like we mentioned in the chat, this presentation will be on our website, so you can refer to it, and Katie and Emily are there available and ready to answer your questions. So we wish you all the best with your applications, and stay warm.
Yes. Thank you all for coming.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.